I want to talk about a common cycle I see in LDS mixed faith marriage. I've seen it in my own, and I've seen it in that of many of my clients. I'm a life coach who works with this population. And I see this cycle where one of the partners has a legitimate issue they want to discuss. We'll call it a complaint. There's something that's not working for them in the relationship. And this is a plea for help, a bid for attention, affection, something like that. They're coming to the other partner with something. They're being vulnerable. They have a genuine thing they want to talk about and discuss. This can be interpreted or seen as an attack or a criticism. There's what I call a perceived attack or a perceived criticism. And then that is then met with maybe a counterattack or defensiveness. And then based on best behavior, they fall into this cycle of, there's a perceived attack met with a counterattack or defensiveness, then that's met with a counterattack and defensiveness, criticism and defensiveness, and now the merry dance goes on and on and on. I want to talk about this because there was never a criticism or attack here in the first place, which is so interesting to me. It was just somebody reaching out for help. Now hear me, sometimes when we reach out for help and we make a complaint, we're not very good at it, and we're clumsy, and maybe we're a little sharp, or we don't communicate very well, and it's easy for it to be perceived as an attack or as a criticism. I get that, but nonetheless, this is what we've got. I want you to consider that John Gottman says something interesting about influence and being able to receive influence from our spouse, and I think that's a lot of what's going on in this particular cycle. And he says that that's a necessary skill to have in order to have a healthy marriage. And he talks about, I love his language, the 4 horsemen, criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling, often come into play in this, criticism defensive cycle that a complaint can unexpectedly trigger. So when you want to be able to influence your spouse and receive influence from your spouse and develop this skill set, you have to first be very aware of this complaint to criticism to defensiveness cycle, so that you can stop it, so that you can step outside of it, so that you can have the awareness to not just default tumble into it without a conscious thought. So what I want you to consider is, when next time it feels like there's an attack or a criticism, this is not going to be easy, but pause and ask yourself, and maybe even ask your partner, what's going on here? Are you needing help? Are you asking for something? Are you something's not right with you? Help me understand more. If it's just a clumsily worded, legitimate complaint, let's do something with that, and let's learn from that instead of just jumping into the criticism defensiveness cycle. And I realize this isn't always easy to do, and it does take practice. And you might need a coach to work through this, but this is an important cycle to recognize and stop.